Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Neese. It is the 5th of April 2025, and on this Saturday in Hotspot Weather, we'll be covering the fact that over the last 48 hours we have seen tremendously damaging thunderstorms, the most active period of weather so far this spring, with large tornadoes and lots of flooding, and we're going to be seeing again on this Saturday. Now look, before we get into that, I know there are a lot of channels on YouTube that cover the weather now. I appreciate you spending some time and visiting me here on Hotspot Weather. Hope you become a subscriber. Well, the hotspot, as we go through the rest of the weekend, will continue to be focused in the same areas that we've been seeing the devastating weather, right? In West Tennessee, Western Kentucky, parts of Arkansas and Mississippi, more storms, possible tornadoes as well. We will continue to see a significant flash flood threat, lots of reports of that, and water rescues across states like Illinois, Missouri, even into Tennessee. Now, we will also see this continue to shift off to the east gradually, and I'll cover that here in just a moment. From the Storm Prediction Center, this is the way the risk for severe weather looks. We have a level 3 out of 5 across Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, back into Louisiana and Texas. And in addition to the threat for severe weather with the threat for tornadoes, we also have a threat for flooding. This is the risk for excessive rainfall amounts leading to potentially significant flooding, and you can see a high risk across West Tennessee, Western Kentucky, back into Southeast Missouri and Arkansas. And again, these are areas that have seen devastating amounts of rainfall already. Then as we head into Sunday, everything begins to shift to the east. We have a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather across Georgia, back down into Alabama, Florida, and the southeastern corner of Mississippi, with a larger area around that of a lower risk of severe weather. But we will continue to see very active weather over the next few days. So taking a look at the computer models, this is the HRRR, the high resolution rapid refresh. As we go through this Saturday, these bands of rain and storms continue from Kentucky down into Tennessee, back into Arkansas, again, occurring in these areas that have seen already heavy amounts of rainfall. And as we go through the daytime today, we'll see a reorganization of the line, especially in areas where it's going to be the most unstable across parts of Mississippi, Louisiana, southeastern Arkansas into Tennessee. And those areas will not only be experiencing the threat for severe weather, high winds, hail, and there will be a tornado risk, but also this will lead to very heavy amounts of rainfall as the storms push off toward the east. This is 10 p.m. on Saturday, the 5th. The worst of the weather moving into East Tennessee, northern parts of Alabama, back into Mississippi. Now, this is the area that's going to continue to be the most unstable, back over parts of Mississippi. That's likely where we're going to see the highest chance for tornadoes as we go through the late afternoon and evening on Saturday, the 5th. Then this all pushes off toward the east as we work through the overnight hours. And by the time we get to 6 a.m. on Sunday, the 6th, big storms rumbling through parts of Alabama, just on the west side of Birmingham, back down into Mississippi, and any of these could be severe and cannot rule out a risk of tornadoes. The rains, the heavy rains, begin to break up a little bit and let up over parts of Tennessee and Kentucky after heavy amounts of rainfall during the overnight hours. And then all of that pushes off toward the east. Again, remember that slight risk of severe weather across Georgia, Alabama, and Florida on Sunday, with what's left over of that line. It stalls out some locally heavy rains here too, but does not look like we're going to be seeing the incredibly heavy amounts of rain that we saw back to the west up over Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Tennessee, Arkansas, and northern Mississippi with this. Let's take a look at what the, first of all, the tornado risk will be as we go through the day. This is the model forecasting how much instability and shear will be conducive for significant tornadoes, and the brighter colors are where you have the higher levels. And across West Tennessee into Middle Tennessee during the day on Saturday, this is Saturday at 4 o'clock, but you can see it's only a really narrow ribbon right along the leading edge of those storms. So look for the potential for some severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings across parts of Tennessee. Again, don't think the tornado warnings will be as common as we saw on Thursday morning across Tennessee, and look for more threats of tornadoes across Mississippi as well. And then gradually that shifts over into Alabama. So overall, the severe weather threat will be a little bit lower than we saw earlier in the week, but it's still there, and the atmosphere will be primed for a few strong tornadoes, especially from southwestern Tennessee back into northern parts of Mississippi. And then on Sunday, a lower risk across Alabama and Georgia, but still enough instability for some pretty strong storms and definitely at least some severe weather, hail, and strong wind makers. The focus, again, after you consider the severe weather, is the threat for more flooding, and these will be rainfall amounts that will occur Saturday into Sunday. You can see the heavy rains in these bands. Some of the heaviest has already occurred across western Kentucky, back into parts of Arkansas and northern Mississippi. These are additional rainfall amounts possible as we go through Saturday and early Sunday across Kentucky, back into northern Mississippi, which would only aggravate the severe flooding that's going on right now. And some of the worst of the flooding, the flash flooding, again, will transfer into a river flood as those tributaries empty into the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, and look for substantial rises on those rivers over the coming days. So that's the focus of the worst of the weather over the rest of the weekend. Let's take a look at it on a bigger picture. This will go from a severe weather and flood threat to a cooler than average temperature pattern and a much calmer pattern through the week. So here is Sunday morning, the core of the low over northern Alabama. There's your band of rainfall shifting off to the east. Lighter rains now replacing the heavy rains across Kentucky, much of Tennessee, and parts of southeast Missouri. And by the time we get into the evening hours on Sunday, 10 p.m., finally a break from all of the rainfall across the Ohio, the lower Ohio, and the middle and lower Mississippi River valleys. And much of the weather starts to turn calmer. But look at this. This is a trough that's developed with some pretty chilly air as we head into Monday and Tuesday. In areas that we've been seeing temperatures in the 70s and 80s from the Ohio River south, we'll be seeing temperatures much cooler with highs only in the 40s and 50s, even into the Tennessee Valley for this week. And we see one shot of cool air at the beginning of the week. And then as we head into the end of the week, another shot. As you see here, another front comes in. This is on Friday. We see another front. Now, this one won't be nearly as active as what we've had with this last system, a band of showers and thunderstorms. But again, much cooler than average temperatures will be coming in again as we end the week and go into the weekend. Let's look at the jet stream pattern. This is the energetic pattern that's creating the severe weather and heavy rains that stalled out over the lower Ohio and Mississippi River valleys. It becomes more progressive though. It starts to shift to the east. Here's your trough that brings in the cool air behind it across the northeast, back down into the Ohio River Valley. Then we try to moderate with temperatures by the middle of the week, and then another trough develops, a pretty deep trough with another shot of cool air coming into the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys and the Mississippi River valleys as well. So again, a big flip in our temperatures from very warm, muggy, summer-like weather to very chilly weather with some frost and freeze advisories that'll be on the way for the Tennessee Valley up into the Ohio Valley as we head through the week. And here's the temperature pattern. Let's take a look at it. You can see the temperatures will be very warm ahead of the system on Saturday into the first part of Sunday across the southeast, but the cooler air makes its way off toward the east as we head into Monday at 7 a.m. Temperatures are in the low 40s for places like Nashville, 30s for places like Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky. 20s have returned up across the Great Lakes, where again we saw some pretty warm weather over the end of the week into the weekend. Then as we head into Tuesday morning, lots of 20s and 30s on the map, all the way down into northern parts of Alabama, with highs being stuck only in the 50s and 40s across the Ohio River Valley down into the Tennessee River Valley. The middle part of the country, though, does start to warm up with 70s and 80s, so the coolest of the air will continue across the northeast, New England. Lows will be in the 20s, back down into the northeast with lows in the 30s. And again, it's going to be very chilly for some of the big cities of the northeast with highs only in the 40s. Philadelphia, New York City, only 30s in places like Boston as we head into the middle part of the week. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be traveling. Well, thanks for visiting me again here on Hotspot Weather. So if you are interested in formulating your severe weather safety plan for your family, check out this video. And for more severe weather safety tips, check out my YouTube shorts as well. I'll see you next time.